Welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Tom Ford's Noir de Noir, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, I really do appreciate it. Noir de Noir was released in 2007 and is from Tom Ford's private blend. This is actually one of the first fragrances I tried from his private blend, and I've had it for a while. So it's given me time to really think about it and really appreciate it, and I want to do a full review of it now. The notes are oud, truffle, oak moss, vanilla, patchouli, rose, and saffron. So this fragrance is actually really well named, Noir de Noir. It is really, really dark. This has a really beautiful dark rose in the opening, and it really doesn't come across much like any rose I've ever smelled. And in fact, the first time I actually smelled this, I couldn't figure out that it actually was rose that I was smelling. So it's very, very dark. There's a slight flowery and rose-like presence, something that you might be familiar with in other rose fragrances, but it certainly doesn't come across the same way at all. It's very dark, it's a little bit mysterious, and it is extremely interesting. It's very strong in the opening. There's just a touch of sweetness, and I'm guessing that's maybe from the rose itself and a little bit of the vanilla. But it is predominantly a very, very dark fragrance. It gives this sort of very dark moodiness to it, and I think this is one of the things that's very unique about this fragrance, is it really is good at conjuring this sort of dark imagery and this sort of brooding, dark, somewhat daring mood as well. Now, the opening can be a little bit strong and a little bit forward with the darkness, and actually I sometimes detect something that smells a little bit like rubber, but this smooths out a lot over time. And I start to get hints of the chocolate from the truffle, although it doesn't come across like a sweet kind of chocolate that you might be used to from a lot of gourmand fragrances. It's actually additionally dark and does add a slight bitterness to this fragrance, and it becomes a lot more well blended. Essentially, I find that it is a fairly one-dimensional fragrance. It doesn't develop tremendously over the life, but it does smooth out as time goes on. So it opens a little bit harsh, very, very dark, and it does smooth out kind of silky, kind of, I don't want to say creamy, but I would say silky smoothness that still has that darkness, that dark rose, and it adds with the additional truffle, and there is a somewhat earthy patchouli there as well. It's not overpoweringly strong. It does add to the overall character of this fragrance, but I don't find it to be a very raw, very earthy, dirty kind of patchouli, something that you might smell in something like Music Festival, which is just overwhelmingly dirty to my nose, the patchouli anyways, but not in this fragrance. It's very nice and blended very, very well. So this creates this overall imagery that I really enjoy with this fragrance. I think ultimately this is one that presents a character of being mysterious, although I find this one to be fairly enjoyable by a lot of people, and it is actually a fairly safe fragrance. It does come off a little bit more daring because it has that darkness to it. Really, this is something that I think you can wear definitely in the upcoming season. Colder weather, this really does well in the fall and winter, and it is something that overall can be dressed up quite well, but I think it's easy to wear in semi-formal situations as well. I've worn this casually and I don't see a real problem with it, so it is fairly versatile in that respect. It's definitely something that if you want to have a little bit of mystery about you and a little bit of daring, this is the kind of fragrance that you definitely want to try out. It also has really good performance, so I got over 8 hours with this fragrance and I've worn it quite a few times. It does actually have fairly good projection for the first 2 hours or so. Very strong sillage. This is definitely one that is strong enough that you can wear it outside and you'll still get a little bit of whiffs of it, and people will get whiffs of it if they're near you as well. So it performs really well too. And of course, it is, I think, a little bit cheaper on the end, as it is older, and it is cheaper than a lot more of the other private blend fragrances. But given that you're paying Tom Ford prices, performance shouldn't be an issue. It most certainly is not with this one. It performs very well. So overall, I think this is a really nice fragrance. This is one I might eventually pick up a bottle of once I run out of my decant. It's very nice, very good for the fall and winter. Does well in the cold. This fragrance is certainly unisex. I don't see it really leaning masculine or feminine. This is definitely just something that if you want to have a little bit more of a dark mystery, a little bit more of a daring edge to your fragrance that day, this is a good choice. And it's also one that goes over well, so you can be daring without being, I guess, smelling bad. So, all in all, Noir de Noir, if you haven't got your nose on it, check that one out. I don't know what you're waiting for. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.